The beat I've got here ready to go is definitely more of a wonky flavour. Also, I'm kind of thinking about this as just a drum layer. Looking to maybe add some more beats, another kick or something later on. But looking at the kit, I've used the time control here on the Beat Bugs preset. And then compress the living daylights out of it with the compressor threshold right down. Really squashing it. And then run it through an auto filter, just over 100 Hertz. Cut here, fairly reasonable cue. And then a shaker part with a high pass filter on it again. But here, if I just solo this, the actual clip has a bit of a kind of triplet rhythm feel to it. Gives it that wonky feel. And also, just for extra effect, I've just used clip envelopes, the transpose function in clip envelopes, just to pitch it down over 8 bars. Okay, so let's look at analog. I've just loaded a default instance here, and I've created a little clip, just a very, very simple little lead melody. And the idea here was to play it a little bit out of sync, or if you wanted to program the notes in, move them around so that some play a little bit late, some play on time, some play a little bit early, kind of staggering the notes. Now you can do this in a number of different ways. You can either just change your fixed grid to 16ths and move them around by hand like so, or you could even switch your fixed grid off and zoom in and just get a little bit of variation on each note. And this is a really nice this is a really quite nice way to work, because you invariably come up with something a little bit unplanned, and it sounds a little bit more like a human being has kind of hit these notes almost randomly to get that wonky effect. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that all your music has to sound like this. You still need, you know, your prominent bass notes maybe from another instrument to, you know, sit really tightly with the beats, with the 1, 2, 3 and 4 on the bar. But almost deliberately we want to get this lead element to sound a little bit wrong. Okay, going back to analog, what we need to do now is just kind of pimp this patch a little bit. I'm going to switch on oscillator 2, change the wave shape to square, and then bring the octave down -2. Gives it a much nicer sound. Now on the amp 1, I'm just going to bring the sustain all the way up, so we get nice long notes. And then the release, I'm going to bring this all the way down. So you get like that kind of instant start, instant stop feel. Okay, now over to the volume section, and under voices we just want to turn this to mono again. And some of these settings are quite similar to what we did with the hench style bass earlier on in the course, and by now hopefully you should be getting a feel for analog and, you know, where these things are. So now we can start adding the extras courtesy of analog's vibrato, unison and glide section. I'm going to turn unison on, just detune up to about 40. If I go any higher than 50, we start to lose the key. Now sometimes that can sound pretty cool. But not in this case. I think around between 40 and 45 is perfect. Okay, glide. I can bring this up to about 60. We get a little bit of bend on each note. And lastly, vibrato. I've got this set to the default, which is 5.1 Hertz. Just bring this up to about 80. And now when we throw in note length, can really play around and get these different note lengths, take advantage of the glide function when the notes are long, cut them short with a length control to get that kind of sort of staccato stop-start feel to the sound. Lastly, let's just treat this with ping pong delay. Quite low feedback, quite low wet dry. Don't need to do too much more to that. If we wanted to as well, switch on filter 1 and just work with the filter frequency, bringing this up and down in terms of presence. And of course start layering it up with other sounds like bass. We could assign we could route MIDI to another track that contained maybe a sub from an analog, for instance. So you can get a sub layer as well as your lead layer. Loads and loads of options, as you'll know by now.